All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something that is absolutely critical to the medicine we all rely on, but it works so well that you probably never even think about it. We're getting into the ICH Q10 guideline for a pharmaceutical quality system.
Have you ever really stopped and thought about it? How can you be so sure that the medicine you pick up from the pharmacy is safe, that it's going to work, and that it's exactly the same as the last batch and the one before that, no matter where on earth it was made? It's a huge question, and the answer is actually pretty brilliant.
Well, it all comes down to a standardized, globally recognized system. You can think of it like a shared playbook that every pharmaceutical company uses to manage, well, every single aspect of quality. This playbook is what we call the Pharmaceutical Quality System, or PQS, and ICH Q10 is the blueprint for it.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll look at what this global playbook is all about, what its three main goals are, and the four big pillars that hold the whole thing up. Then we'll touch on why leadership is so important, how the system works from a drug's birth to its retirement, and finally, we'll bring it all home and talk about why this really matters to you.
Okay, first things first. Where does ICH Q10 fit into the grand scheme of things? It's really important to get this. It's not about throwing out the old rules and starting from scratch. The industry already has a solid foundation of rules called Good Manufacturing Practices, or GMPs. ICH Q10 doesn't replace those, it turbocharges them.
Yeah, this slide lays it out perfectly. Think of GMPs as the floor, the absolute minimum requirements that you have to meet, and they're focused almost entirely on the manufacturing part. The Pharmaceutical Quality System, the PQS from ICH Q10, takes that floor and builds a whole skyscraper on top of it. It stretches the idea of quality across the entire product lifecycle, and it changes the whole mindset from just checking boxes to always looking for ways to get better.
So what's the point of all this? What is this big fancy system actually trying to do? Well, ICH Q10 boils it down to three main goals. This is the why behind the whole thing.
First up, achieve product realization. Sounds complex, but it just means making sure the product you deliver is exactly the product you designed. Number two, maintain a state of control. This is all about consistency and predictability, making sure your process is stable. And third, facilitate continual improvement. This is the real game changer. It's about actively learning and finding ways to make the product and the process even better. So really, it's this simple. Make it right, keep it right, and never stop improving.
All right, to make those three big goals a reality, the system stands on four essential pillars. These are the nuts and bolts systems that companies use day in and day out to make quality happen. And here they are, a system for monitoring, a system for corrective and preventive action, you'll hear that called CAPA all the time, a formal change management system, and last but not least, regular management review. Let's just quickly break down what each one of these does.
So our first pillar is the monitoring system. You can think of this as the quality system's eyes and ears. It's constantly watching, collecting data on everything to make sure the process is running exactly like it's supposed to. That's what we call being in a state of control. But it's also looking for trends, for little signals in the data that could point to a way to make things even better.
Okay, so what happens when those eyes and ears actually spot a problem? That's when pillar number 2 kicks in, the CAPA system. This is like a detective and a world-class repair crew all rolled into one. The whole point of CAPA isn't just to put a Band-Aid on a problem. No, it's about digging deep, finding the real root cause, and then putting fixes in place to make sure that exact problem can never, ever happen again.
The third pillar, change management, is so important because in a system that's all about improvement, you're going to be making changes. This pillar is like a quality gatekeeper. It's a structured process that makes sure every single proposed change gets looked at by the right experts to make sure it's a good idea. The goal is super simple. Make sure the change is actually an improvement and that it won't accidentally cause some other problem down the line. And our fourth and final pillar is management review. This is the big picture strategic checkup for the entire system. It's where senior leadership literally has to sit down, look at all the data from the other pillars, and ask the tough questions. Is our system working? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Do we have the right resources in the right places? This is what ensures the whole quality system is more than just paper. It's a living, breathing part of the company.
And that last pillar brings us to maybe the single most important theme in ICH Q10, leadership. You can have the best systems in the world, but they mean nothing without strong leadership driving them. The guideline could not be more direct about this. This quote says it all. Senior management has the ultimate responsibility. That means the buck stops with them. Quality isn't just something you can delegate to a department, it has to be a core focus of the people in charge.
And we're not just talking about saying the right things. This means taking real action. Leaders have to be visible champions for quality. They have to provide the resources, the people, the money, the right equipment. They have to make sure bad news travels fast, and they have to personally lead those management reviews and always push for things to get better.
Okay, so we've got our goals, we've got our pillars, and we know leadership is driving the bus. Now let's look at how this all gets applied. Because a huge innovation in ICH Q10 is that it stretches this idea of quality across a product's entire life.
And that life has 4 main stages. It all starts with pharmaceutical development. That's where you design the product and figure out how to make it. Then comes technology transfer, which is the tricky part of moving that design from a small lab to a huge factory. After that, you've got commercial manufacturing, making the medicine for the world. And it even covers the very end, product discontinuation, which is about managing a product's retirement responsibly.
Now, this is where it gets really cool because the quality system adapts to each stage. Let's just stick with our first pillar, monitoring. Way back in the development stage, you're using monitoring to help design your manufacturing process. During tech transfer, monitoring gives you an early warning if things aren't scaling up correctly. In manufacturing, well, that's its main job, keeping everything in a state of control. And even at the very end, when a product is discontinued, monitoring is still going on. For example, doing stability tests on batches that are still out there in the world. The same idea applies to all 4 pillars.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from PQS elements to lifecycle stages. But let's zoom all the way back out and get to the real bottom line. Why does any of this matter?
It matters because the ultimate goal is incredibly simple and incredibly important, making sure that every single patient gets medicine that is safe and effective. Every batch, every pill, every single time. By creating this one global playbook for quality, ICH Q10 helps make sure high-quality medicines are available to everyone, and that is a huge win for all of us.
And that leaves us with a pretty exciting thought. When a powerful global system for quality just becomes the standard way of doing things, it builds an incredible foundation. It frees up all that time and energy that used to be spent fighting quality fires. So the question is, with quality this well managed, what's the next giant leap in medicine going to be? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.